This is Brown Paradise, and this is my persuasion speech. There's my audience. Climate change. Fact or fiction? Or should I say, climate change theory? Is it true, or is it all just a hoax put on by special interest groups to get government funding in research grants? First of all, let's discuss what a theory is. A theory is a proposition formulated to explain a set of facts. So what facts are they trying to explain by human-created climate change? First, that the average surface temperature of Earth has been increasing steadily over the last 100 years since the Industrial Revolution in America and in Europe. Another fact, CO2 levels, measured CO2 levels, are higher than ever before in human history, at least since we've been measuring back in the 1950s. And that human CO2 emissions from burning fossil fuels is happening at a greater rate than ever before. Those are the facts. When you take those facts and you correlate them out, evidently, climate change must be true. But let's look at another set of facts before we jump to any conclusions. Another set of facts. Kids from higher income levels, families, they do better in school. They have higher SAT scores. They graduate college at a higher rate. And when they graduate college, they get higher paying jobs. Therefore, theory. Kids from higher income families must be smarter and more successful. But everybody knows that's not the case. When you look at other factors, factors like maybe they go to better schools with smaller class sizes. Maybe their parents actually have higher education levels and they can help their kids. Or they can tutor their kids. Then you look at college. Maybe they don't have to work, being from a higher income level, therefore they have more time to put into studies. And then when it comes to jobs, maybe their parents are better connected, therefore they can achieve higher paying jobs on the outset of college. So my theory, it can pretty much be debunked by considering several of these other factors and several of these other influences as a whole. So who decides what facts when it comes to climate change theory? Scientists. So do all scientists agree that climate change is currently happening? Well, Aaron Bandler, he states that the IOCC, which is a UN committee formed only on the basis of climate change, says 97% of all scientists out there agree that climate change is true. However, when we look at another study done back in 2015 on climate change from an unbiased organization in the Netherlands, they say that only 43% believe in climate change. So looking at those statistical anomalies, I say something's up there. So why do we have this disparity, and what do they say that is happening with climate change? The EPA website says that scientists say the Earth has increased 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit over the past 100 years, and that it's due to increase another 0.5 degrees Fahrenheit in the future. They also say that this planet's oceans are warmer than they've ever been, that they're rising, and that the ice caps are melting. So what do the naysayers on climate change think? Let's look first at a study done that Mr. Bandler also references. It's called the ClimateGate scandal. During ClimateGate, it was seen through emails that were hacked from leading climate change scientists, including Dr. James Hansen, who is the grandfather. He's the man who invented climate change theory. And in these emails, they show that they want to take the temperatures from the 1900s and they want to only pull those from the cooler places like the valleys and mountaintops. And then the current temps, they want to pull them from urban areas where concrete, asphalt, and buildings create a higher temperature. So the naysayers say that their data is not actually accurate through this ClimateGate scandal. What's another thing they say? They say that the oceans are warming and that CO2 levels are higher than ever. They are correct. The ocean is warm and CO2 levels are increasing. But what's the cause and effect here? Because scientists also state that a warmer ocean releases more CO2 than human emissions does in a year. But studies aren't pressing on that right now because the funding just is not there. Their third claim that the ice caps are melting. This is also true. In some areas we do have ice caps melting. They melt to cool the ocean off, that is at warmer temps. However, in other areas the ice caps are growing. Why? Because warmer ocean climate creates more precipitation. And even with climate change and the increase in global warming from, let's say, if it did it 30 degrees, not just 1 degree, from 30 degrees, negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, up to 0 degrees, the rain still falls and it's still going to freeze. Therefore, there is subtraction in addition to these ice caps. It's just a cycle that's been going on for thousands of years. So now we know where the differing opinions are, but where do they come from? Let's look at the organizations that do this research. Mr. William Briggs, who is a sociologist, has done a lot of research on the sociological and the influence of why climate change theory is out there. He stated that since 1989, $79 billion has been spent by the U.S. government only on policy issues on climate change. That's not including the green energy stuff that's out there now. And most people say, he also says that most people say that the oil companies, they're responsible for these scientists that are saying, no, climate change is false. They say that they're funded and they're just sellouts. Nothing could be further from the truth. Actually, since the mid-90s, oil companies have been in support of climate change. Everybody says, well, if they're in support of climate change, it must be happening. Why would they be in support of something that hurts them? Why? Because it hurts their biggest competitor even more, the coal industry. It has completely devastated the coal industry on the emissions controls that they have now. Therefore, there's a big power vacuum and oil has seized it up. So even though they're losing money in some areas, they're gaining it in others. So now we know why the organizations do it, but why would the government give that many billions of dollars to people, to organizations in support of this if it's not true? Well, let's look at the leading politician, Mr. Al Gore, who has even won a Nobel Peace Prize for his support on climate change. Back in the year 2000, he was worth $700,000. In 2015, he's worth over $172.5 million. You say, how can climate change be responsible for this? Because Mr. Gore has invested in shadow corporations and in carbon trading companies. You say, what is a carbon trading company? Carbon trading happens because the emissions controls from one company, if they are above their set level, then they have to either pay super high taxes or they have to buy emissions from another company. These shadow corporations that are green energy, they don't produce emissions anyway. They're there just to sell their emissions to these other companies. Just a money-making scheme. That's what Mr. Gore has invested in. And he's been investing in it years before the emissions controls were even out there. So that's 179 million reasons right there why he himself is responsible for it. And I'm sure he's not alone being out there in support of it. So, climate change is a very polarizing issue on both sides. You have experts that really believe in what they teach. And I'm not saying, believe me, I'm no expert. Even though I do believe it's a hoax, don't believe me. Go out there and do your own research. Figure out why these companies and why these people are saying what they're saying. Find out where the money is. So next time you're not out there uneducated doing a blind protest like so many millions of other people. Next time you'll be educated. And you'll have a place in the discussion. Because that's what our society needs. And I think you owe it to our society and you owe it to yourself. Thank you. And here is my audience the second time.